Hello, everybody. How are you? Welcome to the Wassup with NASCAR podcast. I am your host, Radio Angel YM, and today you have already seen him from some of my previous videos. You have already seen him from my Jason Jacoby video. It is Maxwell Fay, aka Last NASCAR Fan.
How's it going, everyone? Glad to be back on the radio show, especially with Angel. Thank you so much for having me back on, buddy.
It's all right. No harm done after my absence, my horrific absence. But anyways, today we are going to be talking a lot in this one. But before we do that, let's head over to the very third edition of the Shadow Garage. So last week I gave a shout out to Anthony, Dora Dolphin, Darian Gilliam, and to the Fanta Cup Series server. So today it's time to give a brand new shout out. And today's award winner of a shout out is D1 the Shark 909. And the reason why he won is because he set up a challenge on Instagram saying that whoever makes the funniest impersonation of my voice would get a shout out. And he did it perfectly. I mean, not even wasting his time on like practicing or anything. He just gave it his first try, and it was amazing. So D1 the Shark 909, welcome to the Shadow Garage. Remember, if you want to get into the Shadow Garage, you need to do something amazing. Don't just come into my DMs saying, please add me. But anyways, it's time to get into the highlights of what happened at Loudon. What happened at Loudon? We're going to start with the NASCAR Xfinity Series video. That is right around here. So let's get this one started.
Yeah, pretty much I missed this entire race because I was at work, so I was unable to watch it, but I did watch the highlights, so I did know what happened pretty much throughout the race.
But so far, early as we can see here in the race, we had a pretty clean start from what we can say. The only downside was Justin Allgaier falling all the way to third. Didn't even get to lead the first lap. Distinction that, by the way, will go to the number 8. And that was our first caution. It was Juliana Laundrer. I do apologize if I pronounced that wrong, but she was the only female driver in the field. Let's take a look at what happened.
Yeah, you see she was running her line, and then Justin just came up, and I'm just going to say just cleaned her out completely. Yeah. And it's unbelievable how the NBC booth said that she wasn't running close to the wall. She was already holding her line. So that's on the NBC booth for just screwing that call up and just saying it's Julia's fault, because you can blatantly see that Justin does come up and just completely takes out the 45, because he was more worried about the 88 of William Byron than
he was more worried about William. And here we are on the restart with 4 laps to go into stage 1, and it's crazy. That's what I love about New Hampshire. 3 and 4 wide when you're ending the stage. I know it's kind of suicidal to go like that.
Pretty much, yeah. It's New Hampshire always has these crazy restarts that always engulf chaos, and you can see the 3 wide racing. You can see a little 4 wide action right there. Justin trying to peek his nose right there. It just gets so close, but it's such a great sight to see.
Oh yeah, it is, and I think he almost pushed Landon Castle into a little spin out.
Yeah, once like you can go 4 wide, that's the most you can go, but I wouldn't even go 4 wide because you're just gonna wreck yourself in the process.
Yeah, and here's AJ Allmendinger going underneath Brandon Brown for 3rd, and for 4th is going William Byron, but that isn't enough to catch Ryan Sieg.
especially, it was really surprising how they decided to stay out, and they took advantage of winning that first stage and getting playoff points, which that team desperately needs if they want to make the playoffs this year, because they are still in a big long shot after.
Yeah, and there's no Gregson spinning at the end.
Yeah, Gregson spun.
That was at the end of stage 2. William Byron got the stage.
Indeed.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that happened like right away, right?
Yeah, it literally was right away. And there's the rest of the results for stage. So
and then you kind of saw the beef between Hemrick just completely gets into Noah right there.
Yeah, he completely wiped him out. He wiped him out clearly. And there's a caution.
And then Julia Landauer again. That was her second accident of the day, which unfortunately ended her day.
That officially ended her day, and she also took out the 78 of Matt Mills in the process. Really not sure what was happening there, but we're gonna see in the replay.
Yeah, we'll get a replay of what happened.
Yeah, there's Matt Mills also destroyed. So here's what happened.
Yeah, she just kind of ran out of racetrack and just really cleaned out Matt Mills.
I think she was trying to poke in like a sandwich between
she was trying to
and the 13.
Yeah, she tried to split it, but couldn't do it. And then look at William Byron. He just goes way up the racetrack. He's going to lose a lot of spots.
Yeah, he loses a lot of things. I mean, when you go so hard on the outside,
but I think
you're going to lose a lot of time.
Problem. I think he did have a problem. I can't recall though.
Yeah, he's having a little problem, and we're going to have some ads. Really, we're going to have this thing. We're not sponsored by this thing. Although I wish
we are not. We are not, unfortunately.
Yeah. And there's Josh Berry getting around, and there it goes.
And this is the big one that happens. Yeah. Everyone pile driving. ARCA brakes at its finest moment, people.
Yeah. Now they say ARCA brakes, but now we're gonna say Xfinity brakes.
No, I'd say I would call this an ARCA brake. This is a total ARCA brake moment.
Caution is out with 76 laps to go. They actually had to take out the red flag due to a lot of the braking, and we're gonna pay our respects for our lost comrade called Ryan Sieg, who got bounced into the air. He got toggled from behind.
Yeah, we had a lot of really interesting photos after the cars were hauled to the garage from the wreckers. It's unbelievable how Jeff Burton sustained that much damage, because that thing is completely ripped off.
And Josh Berry's car looks like it has already driven off the junkyard. Let's see what happened.
Yeah, Creed just gets into Barry. He just completely loses it. He tries to lock up the brakes. Everyone's trying to avoid. Sieg trying to take his little damage, but then Jeff Burton comes piling in at the last second, and so does Myatt Snyder in the 31, unfortunately.
So we're going to see there. Now, I think what happened is that Barry didn't give any room to Sheldon. Sheldon clearly had the nose underneath. Watch that 39.
Yeah, he just goes right. We haven't seen anyone go in the air at New Hampshire since I can't remember.
I think like the only time was my goodness.
There goes, and that was Alex. Oh yeah. Oh, Brandon Jones. Oh, that's a really hard hit.
For Brandon Jones, I'll go for the record in saying that he did a pretty good job. Although he's a pretty bad driver, he did a pretty good job avoiding that wreck. But
I'll just
crashing itself.
I'll just put it at this: if he hasn't had won so many races before, as of like 2020, pretty much, JGR would have gotten rid of him at this point, because he already filled an RCR and then he was brought to JGR because he's got the money and stuff. But I don't know if Brandon Jones is still ready for a cup ride. I don't see JGR pursuing with that kind of.
Yeah. So here's the replay. Oh, oh, it looked to me like the 16 of AJ Allmendinger just swiped Alex LeBay against the wall.
Oh yeah, he was a little upset with them. But that's what happens though. You do that and you cause a little stack up. You got drivers checking up, and that's what unfortunately happens to Brandon Jones as that ended his day. Coming to 2 to go though, this is a great day, quote unquote, for Landon Castle, because everyone knows what happens after the end of the race.
So we're not gonna spoil it. We're just gonna sit over here. Coming into turns 3 and 4, the 7 of Justin Allgaier will see the white flag at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. So before this, he has had 2 wins in the last 7 races, and he has been 7th or better in 7 of the last 8. So there it is, white flag.
So far, a great season for Justin Allgaier. He's been showing a lot of speed for junior motorsports, bringing out the 7, completely dominating the field, and this is just a perfect day of domination as the 7 of Justin Allgaier comes out of turn 4, and he will take the checkered flag at New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
And that was the checkered flag for Justin Allgaier. Now he has won 3 of the last 9. And one of the very interesting things about this race in particular, it was the amount of action that we had on track. But overall, the results we're going to be seeing very promising. Trevor Bayne in the 18 finished 2nd, so quite a pretty good run for Trevor Bayne,
especially for Joe Gibbs Racing, because that 18 has been very fast all year long. It's just no one's ever gotten really big of a chance to capitalize yet on that speed, and I think we're going to see it later this season. We're going to see that JGR 18 get into victory lane, because they just got so many great part-time drivers doing that ride.
We'll possibly see the 18 getting a win before the Xfinity playoff starts.
Maybe. I would say I wouldn't call it too soon, but it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Brendan Brown will finish 3rd, Jeremy Clements 4th, Sheldon Creed 5th, and then Ty Dillon in the 48, Austin Hill in the 21, Kyle Weatherman, Mason Massey in the 91, and finally Bailey Curry in the top 10. Quite a nice run for him.
Oh, especially for Brandon Brown and Jeremy Clements, because they're driver owners. They needed those good runs to really help them with their confidence, as well as boost morale and the sponsorship. Especially Brandon Brown, he was super happy based off of the social media posts.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he has already won Talladega last year.
Yeah, he did. But still, that was a great finish for Brandon Brown, and hopefully they can keep continuing getting good finishes, so they can really improve and they can get more sponsorship opportunities after the whole thing that happened that we don't want to talk about.
Yeah, Joel Landor and Daniel Hemrick suffered accidents. Myatt Snyder, Jeff Burton, Ryan Sieg, Josh Berry, accidents. Then Riley Herbst, Anthony Alfredo, Brandon Jones, and Alex LeBay all didn't finish because of accidents. William Byron and Josh Williams didn't finish because of electrical problems. And the final DNF of the day was Akinori Ogata with an engine.
Yeah. You had JJ Yaley. He kind of started. He was like at the rear, and he muscled his way up to 25th in the second MBM entry. So a really good show day for JJ Yaley and the 66. Because I mean, I'm just gonna say this: they showed a lot of really good speed throughout the past few weeks, especially Texas. Well, back in June, so Texas, Nashville. But yeah, they've been really showing a lot of speed, and it's unfortunate how they just can't really keep up with that speed because how small MBM is.
That is true. I mean, there might be some small teams, but there's some pretty good talents over there. So 8 races before the playoffs. And it looks to me that it's going to be a huge battle, especially because Noah Gregson and Landon Castle both got disqualified from their runs.
Yeah,
at the very end of the race.
Very unfortunate for Landon Castle because he had such a great race going.
Yeah, and once we start looking at the standings run, ranked in the playoffs, it is gonna be humongous for the Xfinity series. So what I'm looking at right now is that the drivers that are in without any wins this season are Sam Mayer, Daniel Hemrick, Riley Herbst, Ryan Sieg, and Landon Castle. Because of Landon Castle's DQ, he could be put in a forcible situation to make the playoffs. He's only 61 points ahead of the cut line.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Landon Castle and Colleague Racing can bounce back from this awful disqualification, because they really need to start making sure that the car is actually fast enough so it can actually not be disqualified. Pretty much, don't cheat.
Yeah, and things are starting to spice up in the regular season standings as AJ Allmendinger, Justin Allgaier, and Ty Gibbs still continue to battle for the regular season championship.
I also heard some more interesting news. This is regarding Xfinity, but this is related for our motorsports. It seems that the O2 for Brett Moffitt is supposedly shutting down after the end of the season because of financial reasons.
Oh boy!
I guess they're not bringing in enough sponsorship, so they might be shutting down the O2 after this year, making the team only a one-car field.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate. Yeah.
I can't say it's confirmed yet because it's just garage rumors, but still, anything can happen.
Mm-hmm. So now it's time to get into the second plate of today, which is the NASCAR Cup Series, the main show, the mainstream for the pinnacle of NASCAR racing. So let's see what happened over at New Hampshire as we see the green flag in the air. Early on, Truex pretty good. Pretty good at the very start of the race.
Yeah, Truex had a rocket ship of a car throughout that beginning of the race. That car was just so freaking smooth. It was unbelievable. It was smooth like butter, and it could just pull away instantly, leaving everyone in the dust.
Mm-hmm. And there we see Bubba Wallace mustering his way up to second place on the scoreboard.
Yep, a great weekend for that 23-11 team. They really needed that run as we had the first caution. And because Greg Ives is not at the racetrack, they brought the worst setup, and that's going to end Alex Bowman's day along with Ty Dillon, Josh Bilicki, and BJ McLeod.
Yeah, you see that smoke coming from the 42. It hit that radiator so good.
Cleaned it out pretty much. It's flushed.
Yeah, when I first saw that, I was like, really? It had to happen. There is Alex Bowman himself. So let's see the replay.
Oh. Yeah, Ty tried to go for it. Couldn't work. Poor Bowman was just wrong time, wrong place, wrong moment, and just collects everybody else. Bilicki tries to avoid. He spins right into the 78, killing his left front.
Yeah, I think what happened at the very start is that the 42 tried to go up, but he didn't know that he was clear or not from the 31.
Oh, definitely not. Hilly. Oh, definitely not. Yeah.
And there we see in stage one.
You see, Todd Gilliland tried to not go down yet another lap, and he was able to hold on to his one lap down.
Yeah. Martin Truex Jr., the winner of stage one. Jumping ahead to stage two, this is where things start to go juicy.
After such a really strong performance at Atlanta before literally wrecking on the final lap. Corey LaJoie's day will end as his entire rear suspension is completely broken. You can see that car can't even steer properly. And that's one big problem with these next-gen cars is that suspension, when that thing breaks, that car is literally unable to drive. We've seen it before so many times this year. Like, one little tap, one little bump, and your car can just be completely undrivable, and your day will be done. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think Michael McDowell just got into LaJoie. Let's see it. Yeah, he clearly, and he cleaned out Harrison into the wall.
Yeah, Harrison and Michael were able to continue. And Ryan Blaney. I totally forgot about that caution. Yeah, Blaney, this is pretty simple. This is just completely losing it and trying to avoid any necessary damage, which Blaney only sustained a little left rear damage. Very rough day for that 12 Penske team, though. They really need to break through with a win if they want to make the playoffs.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a lot of days. 3 wide, and we see a caution for Chase Briscoe. That car is done. Mechanically is done.
No, I thought it was fine. I thought it was a spin. Probably was a spin. It was a spin.
Yeah. And here we have a spin.
Oh yeah, second Kyle Busch spin of the day. Kyle Busch just, good Lord. I'm just going to say if he didn't win Bristol Dirt this year, this would be arguably one of his worst seasons compared to 2020 in a nutshell.
And there will be more of Kyle Busch in this in the podcast, but when we get to the Radio Angel YM news feed, we'll talk about that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I can't wait to discuss. Oh yeah, and then we had the beef. We had the beef.
I think that was only made. I think Austin made it on purpose for the show.
Yeah, that's what RFK said on Twitter. Dylan did it just to get more. Just wanted to do it so he can get more attention for his show, so he can get content. This already shows how bad it is. No, I do not want to see that ad.
No.
I hate this ad.
All right, so
you're fine.
All right. So here, so let's see the beef again.
See, Austin hits him, and Brad hits him, and I don't know if we're going to see the post-race interview, but Dylan's like, I don't want to be touched. Well, boo-hoo.
Yeah. He actually said on the radio, they actually told him, good time to wreck the 6. If you saw it on Instagram, well, you'll pretty much understand.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. But the thing was that Brad was having such a great day in that 6, and they would still continue, but that took out maybe possibly a top 5 car throughout the rest of the day if Austin Dillon wasn't that stupid enough.
And this is Kyle Busch spinning. He clipped the apron in turn 4.
Yeah, he was just completely loose. I don't know what else to expect.
Yeah.
Stage 2 comes to an end with Martin Truex Jr. taking the stage. More dominance.
Finishing
and
second.
Then we got pit stops for the.
And there it is. Oh boy.
There it is. There it is. Yep. I remember seeing that. I'm like, oh, it's going down for real.
Yeah. So here's the 55 to go.
Kurt Busch showing some really good speed, trying to get around Chase Elliott. But the thing, though, is that you got to watch out for that 20 of Christopher Bell. He is something else.
Yeah.
Especially switching pit crews with Bubba Wallace because of how unsatisfied Bubba was with his pit crew.
Mm-hmm.
So they came to the decision to switch pit crews, and you're going to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, we already saw the effects of it last year. There it is. He gets the lead, trying to get help to the lead because of 38.
Oh, definitely. He used the Todd Gilliland as a really good pick.
Yep. And there it is with 2 laps to go. Christopher Bell, he came so close of winning this race last year. If the race wasn't cut short, he could have cashed that Morola.
Due to darkness.
Yeah.
1 to go.
1 to go. There you see.
And this has been
Defending
just a
champion.
horrendous season for Christopher Bell.
Yeah.
Had so much struggling. Got caught up in so much stuff he couldn't even do. Wrong place, wrong time moment each time. After switching pit crews with Bubba Wallace, you're going to see why he should be a big threat when he has these kinds of fast race cars. He'll take the win at New Hampshire.
And there it is. Christopher Bell, your winner at New Hampshire. Quite an interesting race. It was quite an interesting race that we saw. I'll probably post the post race interview with between Austin Dillon and Brad Keselowski on my social media, but I think it was kind of funny. But anyways, let's take a look at the rest of the results for today's run. Chase Elliott in second, Bubba Wallace in third, and fourth, Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick in the top 5. Quite a nice run for a man who has had a trash fire of a season.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Harvick really, he had a great car at the end. If we had a couple more cautions, Harvick could have also been a huge threat to win. And my dad even told me you should have started Harvick instead of Bowman. I'm like, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, and this is only his second winless season with Stewart-Haas. We have to remember that. In sixth, Denny Hamlin, then Keselowski, Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez, pretty good run for Trackhouse, and Kurt Busch rounds out in the top 10.
Yeah, great day for Kurt Busch as well as Daniel Suarez for Trackhouse. Good solid runs, especially 23-11. Really great day of staying up in the top 5, top 10.
Mm-hmm. And for the drivers that didn't finish, B.J. McLeod, Alex Bowman, Josh Vilicki, and Ty Dillon were all caught up in that crash. And Corey LaJoie was the only driver from that wreck that didn't survive, with 31 cars finishing the race.
I'm actually more surprised about Rick Ware surviving that entire race. They had no problems at all, even with Cody Ware behind the wheel. So I wouldn't really say Cody Ware is a big problem as much anymore. He's been really improving that 51.
Yeah, and now it's time to take a look at the playoff standings. So right now we have 14 different winners across 20 races run so far in the regular season.
And it's not going to stop from there, folks, because if we get more than 16, if we get to 17 winners, that's when they're going to show the true meaning of points. Because if you're who ranks the lowest in points, even if you have a win, you're knocked out of the playoffs, which this is how, and I'm just going to say this is going to show the weakness of the win and in format that we've been dealing with for the past 8 years, because it's not fun anymore. It literally isn't, because it's all about just getting a win and making. If you win, you're in the playoffs. And I'm just gonna say it's not as keen as it used to be anymore. It's just a complete joke.
Yeah, I might make a separate video about this.
That's a good idea, actually.
Yeah. So Truex and Blaney are the odd ones out, as Ryan Blaney is currently third in points, and Truex is in fourth. If they don't get a win, but we don't have more winners apart from 14, they are good to go.
Pretty much, they'll make it in on points as long as they keep up and they don't have any issues throughout these 6 races, which if I were Team Penske and JGR, I would just try to make sure their equipment is all good to go and that they have well-prepared fast race cars for them to either win or just have a really good points day.
Yeah, and guys at the very back, like Kevin Harvick, Eric Almirola, and Eric Jones, are all on the outside looking in, but the furthest of them all is Austin Dillon, with Kevin Harvick close, but he needs to make up 68 points in the next 6 races.
Honest to God, this is one of Harvick's absolute worst seasons of all time. This is almost kind of like showing the end of Kevin Harvick's reign in NASCAR, as like 2020 showed that he should have won that championship. Literally, he should have won that championship. He had the most dominant car. He won the most races. He should have won that damn championship instead of Elliott. I'm just gonna say that.
And speaking of Chase Elliott, it's all between him and Ross Chastain for the regular season championship, with only 6 races before the playoffs. But what really concerns me is the winners chart. The big question: are we going to have more winners?
And I'm just going to say this: I do have a feeling we are going to have over 16 winners. I'm not going to say who is going to make it, but I know for a fact we're going to get, and that's when it's going to get out of control, and when NASCAR has to finally say, all right, we're going to be done with that winning in. But I still want the playoffs. I love the playoff format. I just want to get rid of the winning in. I just want points. That's all I want.
Another thing to be interested is that if the drivers that are on the very outside of the playoffs and very far away from making it on points, but if they do get wins, like for example, Almirola, Jones, Dillon, and McDowell, it's going to be a tight battle because they have to maintain. They not only have to maintain a better run in points from the other drivers that are low in the playoff ranking, like Alex Bowman, Cindric, and Daniel Suarez, but they also have to maintain themselves in the top 30.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean,
that's very concerning.
Very.
So now that we have that out of the way, it's time to get into the Radio Angel YM news feed of this year. So we're going to start off with a banger, with a super banger that I know most of the fans would say, oh, I don't want to hear about this. And that is Chicago returning, not at Chicagoland, but as their own street course like it has been planned for many years. Before we get into that, we're going to show you the image of what the road course could look like. This is not official. This is only a test. As you can see over here, it all starts at Columbus Drive, and then you're gonna make a left and turn 1.
Pretty much the whole entire track layout is kind of almost close to the pier, Chicago Pier. So you're gonna be seeing especially when you take the left-hander in turn 1 when you go down that straightaway, you're going to be seeing Lake Michigan, which is going to be a cool sight, but I don't know. I honest to God don't know.
The only bad thing is that there is a very lack of runoff when you go through the longest straightaways. I mean, it's kind of a similar problem that IndyCar has with St. Petersburg.
As well as Long Beach.
Oh, yeah. Those two don't have that much runoff, as well as the Nashville Street Course, which IndyCar is returning this year.
Oh boy, that's gonna be fun.
What I think is gonna be very interesting for these drivers is gonna be the Congress Plaza, right there between turns 8 and 10. That's gonna be a very interesting interesting curve.
Yeah, it's going to be one of the areas where it's either you're going to pass or it's going to be single file, because we still don't, because like based on what Bob Pockris has shown people throughout the street, it's going to be very limited passing, which is going to result in a lot of single file, because if like someone slips up, that's when you're going to have to make your pass. That's when you're going to have to make your move, because then you're just going to be stuck behind, and it's going to be like rush hour all over again.
Yeah. And you can already see from the image, it says proposed course layout. This is a layout that they used for iRacing last year, so it's not the final version.
Yeah.
And as you can see, it is estimated that it will be on the Fox side of the schedule. But overall, I'm very skeptical about this road course.
As well as I am. It's just, I mean, I'm just going to get this out of my head and just say it. NASCAR's trying to turn themselves into F1 and IndyCar. They're not. I know this next gen has proved a lot to help, especially with speedway racing, but when it comes to short tracks especially, we haven't really seen as much of an impact. These short track races that we've had this year have been very mediocre. Road courses this year, I mean, it's a road course. You're going to see very minimal passing.
Yeah,
but with street courses, I don't see this really working at all. It's going to be impossible to pass.
You truly bring a point, Max, because we've seen a lot of minimal passing. If we take a look at the list of tracks that we see in F1 that are purely street, like for example, you see Monaco. There's very minimal passing, especially with these thick cars made by the FIA that are still forced to race at this quote unquote traditional track. It's very impossible to just get a good passing opportunity in that.
Yeah, there's very few sections in the track where you can literally pass. The same thing can go for Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan. The only track that I really don't see a problem with it is, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And Australia, of course. But that doesn't count because the whole street course is made on a public park.
Yeah, it's already like prepared and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's like a lot of sections that are just parking lots.
Yeah. The thing though is, sorry.
So yeah, and there's like a lot of runoff at Australia, so you pretty much have a lot of space.
The thing though is, I'm really more intrigued about is when F1 goes to Las Vegas for the third U.S. Grand Prix date.
Oh boy, the last time we saw Formula One at Las Vegas, it was at the Caesars Palace parking lot,
and they raced literally during the daytime, which I'm just going to say not a good idea. And that's what happens. You have driver exhaustion, and you have drivers collapsing. And that's pretty much why the idea died.
That was at Dallas.
Oh no, it happened in Vegas as well.
Oh, okay.
They raced it in the day, and there was the I can't remember who won the Grand Prix that. I can't remember who won the Grand Prix. I got to look back at Racing Reference. Yeah. But they completely collapsed to heat exhaustion.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing, though. If this Las Vegas street courses ran at night instead of the daytime, I'm just going to say it could turn out to be a huge success because Vegas is a great market, especially for racing. It's going to bring so many fans all over the world. Hotels are going to be booked. Casinos are going to be busy. Bars are going to be hopping. It's literally perfect. It just has to have passable areas.
And we've seen in the past that even though they have struggled, they did produce some good racing when they brought Indy cars to the Las Vegas Oval. Although it turned out to be a disaster, because of a certain date that I'm not going to mention.
Yeah, we don't want to speak about that because it's one of the most unfortunate IndyCar moments of all time that I even remember watching.
Yeah, how your future can be tarnished. I mean, it was just the pinnacle of IndyCar. It was just going to boost the sport to a brand new level. It was going to set drivers to be fast around the globe. It was Danica Patrick's final IndyCar race. I shouldn't have said that. And it was the season finale. It was the season finale of all things.
I mean, yeah, it was technically her final full-time season IndyCar race. But I get your point though.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said that. But yeah, I mean, Las Vegas for Formula One, they have to make a lot of things. A lot of fans, which I dove into, have said that they want a street course on the Las Vegas Strip, but closing the Strip, it would be basically like closing Times Square.
Pretty much. But I think it's going to be real. I think if it works out all perfectly, it's going to provide some memorable racing because, I mean, as I stated before, if it's ran at night, hotels, casinos lit up, everyone's watching, it'd be fantastic. It'd be completely fantastic.
It would basically be a better version of what Marina Bay is for Singapore.
Oh, definitely, yes.
Yeah, because we once we mentioned Singapore, even though it was the first ever lighted race for Formula One. It doesn't bring out that much excitement, although apart from the can of worms that was the 2008 Grand Prix, which was the first one, and the 2017 Grand Prix that had too much crashes for the highlights reel that it literally had to end on a timer.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, and Jeff Gordon was in that race at the Mercedes pit box.
That I don't recall, but that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it was very interesting. But anyways, yeah, about this brand new street course. Now we're gonna go and shift all the way to a more known driver. We already said that Kyle Busch is in a lot of trouble, but there could be a possibility that he might migrate back to Chevy because of the fiasco with Tyler Reddick. We already know it. I spoke about that last week, by the way.
The assumption of Kyle Busch going to RCR though is I mean, it could happen, but I actually don't see it happening. I really don't see it happening.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want to say is that I figure that 2311 somehow acquires a third charter and they bring Kyle Busch to drive for their team. And what would be interesting is that Kurt and Kyle could race for the same team for the first time, especially it being supposedly Kurt Busch's final season.
Yeah, we can pretty much expect Kurt Busch to retire in either 2023 or 2024. Although it could be this year, we still don't know. Like there's already a lot of speculation. Like for example, Ark Almirola saying that he wants to run one more season for Stuart Haas.
Yeah, it's hard to let go when you try to announce your retirement because we saw Jeff Gordon do it after the 2015 season, but he came back in 2016 to sub for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah,
during that crisis.
And last year, while I was diving onto some racing forums on my Twitter account, there was an announcement that there could be a possibility of Jimmy Johnson making one-off races in the NASCAR Cup Series.
And I could actually figure out that team that could actually do it. I was actually thinking about Trackhouse's 91 car that they want to do, especially after supposedly in a few weeks when we go to Watkins Glen and we get to see Kimi Räikkönen drive that 91.
Wow. Oh boy. I mean, Kimi Räikkönen, he's already raced in NASCAR before. He's raced in the Truck Series. He's raced in the Xfinity Series, and well, he's gonna deliver on his promise.
Yeah, I can't wait for him to make his Cup debut. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really cool to see him finally come back to NASCAR after 11 years of absence.
Yeah,
and
it has been 11 years. And we have to remember that the last driver to ever attempt NASCAR was Narain Karthikeyan, a.k.a. the Cucumber.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And Scott Speed, of course. But hey, he's American, so it doesn't count.
I'm really surprised Alexander Rossi hasn't made the decision yet to come to NASCAR, to try out NASCAR at least, because there's other drivers that want to get into NASCAR that are open wheel drivers in the SRX series, especially Elio Castroneves. He wants to race in NASCAR really badly, and he tried to show it by winning in SRX.
Yeah, that could be a good possibility. Of course, SRX is built upon the grassroots of NASCAR. They go to a lot of short tracks. They've gone to dirt racing, and then they got Hailie Deegan its first medal in the most boring way possible, aka SRX at Knoxville.
And then you have Team Hesenberg Rayum Bros. They already announced this. This is already public, but Daniel Kvyat, the former F1 Red Bull racer, Red Bull driver
for AlphaTauri.
And AlphaTauri as well. Yep, Red Bull and AlphaTauri, former Red Bull and AlphaTauri driver. They announced that he is joining their program as a development driver, which is actually bringing up more assumption of the return of the open wheel defectors, as we've seen this before. I don't know if we could probably do this on a future episode.
Yeah, we could get. But for now, it's our time to say goodbye. Of course, there is a lot of things to check out in the description of this video. There's, of course, my Twitter. You can also check out Last NASCAR Fan on Twitter. I left the link to it. You can also check out my Instagram and my TikTok. And, of course, you can check out D1 the Shark 909, the person who eventually won his shout out today. You can check him out on Instagram. And, of course, you can check out the inspiration. I put this on the on my Instagram like a couple of days ago. I said that my huge inspiration to keep on YouTube was Dora Dolphin. You can follow her as well. If you don't know who Dora Dolphin is, she was Lenny Loud in the A Loud House Christmas movie, but she is not retaking the role in the live action series. I wonder why. But that's basically the end of the What's Up with NASCAR podcast. In the next edition of the NASCAR podcast, we're going to be seeing Pocono action from the Cup Series, Xfinity Series, and the Truck Series. And for good measure, we might throw some ARCA action because, well, ARCA at Pocono is always a pretty good thing.
ARCA and Pocono can combine anything.
Yeah. So I want to say, Maxwell, thank you for joining me on the stream today. And to the audience, I want to say thank you for watching. I'm Angel Rhoda, and you've made it to my next video. And also, let's try and get Morgan McGill in this show, or even Darian Gilliam.
That would be awesome.